Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Amazon Health AI presents Painful Thoughts.
I can't stop scratching my downtown. Yeah, but I'm not itching to go downtown and tell a receptionist I'm here to talk about my downtown. Some things you'd rather type than say out loud.
There's no question too embarrassing for Amazon Health AI. Chat your symptoms and get virtual care 24/7. Healthcare just got less painful.
All right, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass Podcast with Kevin and Chuck. Today, we're going to talk about, I don't know, I think I was going to call it Walk Like a Man, or just, men should be men. And I feel like society is doing everything to work against that. I think the schools get a bad rap, and rightfully so. But guess what? It's not all on the schools. When you're a parent, it's not just the school's job to raise your kid. So we're going to point some blame and throw some stones at the schools and the way the system's set up. But there's a lot of things we could be doing and maybe shortcomings that we've been having, in society in raising our children and things like that. I get worried when Bruce Jenner or Caitlyn Jenner is the hero, and Chris Kyle, nobody knows who he is. Mm-hmm. That's not the world that, America of yesteryear.
Right.
I just read an article, and I think this is what got me going on this topic, was they were talking about kids in kindergarten don't have the hand strength to hold a pencil to learn how to write, because they're growing up just with the tablet and the, playing with their mom's phone or their mom's iPad or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Did I tell you that the other day?
No,
that's a new one.
That sounds ridiculous, though.
That is ridiculous. I was like, what? That can't be real. And sure enough, America was supposed to be it was founded, it was an experiment of self-governance. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, in order to have self-governance, you need self-reliance.
Right.
In order to govern yourselves and handle your own business,
that means you have to
handle your own business. Right. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Now, a lot of guys, I hear stories. There was a book that I listened to an author about, and he was talking about, like, he used the word the pussification, and I hate that. I don't think that's right. Now, I think you're making men in today's world less aggressive, and so I understand where that term would come from. Mm-hmm. Men are supposed to be the aggressive warrior type, whatever.
Right.
And they're dumbing it down. But, men can't even provide or take care of themselves in today's society. And I think women should be able to provide and take care of themselves. It's not like you're turning them into women. You're just making everyone weak.
Right.
I don't think that women are weak or should be weak. It's just society as a whole, we're not becoming self-reliant anymore. It's not self-governance. It's, let me, feed off, maybe turning people into infants or, children, or I don't know. I know 3-year-olds that have more dominance than, some of the world today.
Yeah, I think some people are born aggressive.
Yes.
And just have to have it beaten out of them by by their teachers, toxic masculinity and all that stuff.
I think I may have had that, though, the beating of the,
Yeah.
The switch on your fingers and let me swat you over and over again. All right, let me take the coat off and get involved here.
Yeah, I think that everybody is worried about men being aggressive and rough, and everybody worries about that until the Vikings show up, and then when you see that ship off the coast heading for you, then you start looking for the real men. Where are they at? Oh, they're all gone now.
Now, I mean, I don't think, when you talk about aggressive, now, a man should have self-control and be in control of himself. Being a hothead, having a temper, just being, what we think of as an asshole, that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
Hotheads and crazy tempers does not make you a man. Being in control and not overreacting. When you get pissed off and you want to, lash out and you end up getting arrested, that's not taking care of your family.
Right.
I mean, there's maybe a place where you do things and it's appropriate that, you end up getting arrested and so be it and you did the right thing. But for the most part, being in control of yourself is a big part of it. So, like I said, a lot of it gets put on the schools, and this is where I guess that comes from, and some of the stuff that I was reading. They said that basically, boys seem to have a lot more energy at the younger age, when they're in elementary school and junior high. A lot of the schools are just doing away with recess altogether. As just a chance to get some of that aggression out. But I got to tell you, kids playing and interacting with each other and kind of forcing that was a good thing.
Right.
Teaching, picking kickball teams and unstructured playing.
Right.
That's the kind of thing. And, I know you're thinking, oh, well, they should be able to do that at home. But more and more, we stack these kids up with so much homework and whatever. They go to school, everything's a structured, disciplined, planned out event. And then they come home and they have 3 hours of homework to do. And then, then it's bedtime or whatever. They don't have the time out running around and, being hooligans like we were. I kind of think, when, we could talk about jobs and different things like that. We'll get there. But, as a kid, my parents, I didn't feel were very involved. It was kind of like, do what you want. I'd come home, go out, and come home at 7, 8 o'clock or whatever and eat dinner, sometimes making it myself and take care of my stuff. So I don't understand how, I guess, to me, as a parent, I thought, oh, I don't have to do that much because my parents didn't do anything and I turned out awesome.
Right. Right. Perfect.
I mean, I'm perfect. So, what should be involved? But it was kind of in a way that taking care of yourself and being, self-reliant. So much we baby the kids and just constant attention and worrying about everything and taking care of stuff. So I started talking about the schools. So we got rid of recess. There's no lessons in school that require motor activity. You're not moving, you're not doing, you're just sitting there, whatever. Boys tend to have a harder time with this. Maybe some people would say that I'm wrong and that all people have a hard time with this, whatever. Lessons, let me think. Boys need to assume responsibility for the learning of others. Will actually help, if you have them interacting and
right,
because boys naturally tend to want to take charge. And so if you're all kind of set up as you all just do what you're told and whatever, when there's no leadership, no competition, if you will, it ends up hurting. They said that, really lessons that focus on independent personal discovery is like a big thing for, where you figure it out on your own and you move forward. Boys tend to excel in that area as far as learning. Whereas girls, they said that, basically the way schools are set up, there's very little of that. It's very structured and organized. Again, I don't know how much the girls are outside of this. I mean, maybe the girls are having the same issues the boys are.
Right.
That's the thing. Everyone's like, oh, well, we're turning them into girls. It's not. It's just we're turning them into people who don't take care of themselves. Don't take care of business. Boys like drama, novelty, surprise, that kind of stuff. And like I said, that's why you're getting the Ritalin, the ADHD, all this stuff is because they're like, you're not entertaining me.
Right.
You're just giving me facts. You're teaching me to repeat back.
Right. They worry about kids squirming in their chairs and not paying attention. But, a 7-year-old isn't supposed to be able to pay attention for long periods of time like that and sit still for long periods of time. But, I mean, if you can get a drug and give it to them, and really, we act like, Ritalin is medication, but it's basically crystal meth. You're giving them speed. And, it makes them hyper-focused, and they'll pay attention. But, as soon as they leave school and they start crashing, it's going to, ruins a child's childhood. Ruins kids. You're basically making drug addicts out of children.
Right.
And I think that, there's probably a good 10% of the people that are on, the kids that are on Ritalin that need to be on Ritalin. But the majority of them, they're just boys.
Yeah. No, exactly. I know when I was in the military in Virginia Beach, my older boy was in maybe 2nd or 3rd grade, and the teacher calls me in and is like, oh, I think, we need to put your kid on Ritalin. And I'm like, oh, why do you think that? And she's like, oh, well, he's really, disruptive and which he's, calm and whatever. I don't know. It's weird. And I was like, well, how many kids in the class? Or no, actually, I didn't even ask. Her point was, well, 1 in 4 kids in the class is on Ritalin, and I can't teach unless they're medicated and whatever, because it's just too disruptive. And my response was, you can't teach 1 in 4 kids in your class? I'm not sure the problem falls on the kid.
Right.
That sounds like the system may be set up a little imperfect.
Right.
But that's it. So that's enough school bashing, whatever. Bottom line, school is not there to teach your kid to be self-reliant. Well, it should be, but it's not.
Right.
School's goal is not, again, we wish the goal was to teach you to be self-sufficient. It used to be that high school was to teach you to be a productive member of society and go get a job.
And how to function in
and how to
life,
function with that. Now, it's to teach you to obey and conform and go along to get along and to help you feel good. And then pass tests, recite things back.
Right.
I used to be jealous of people who would go to college and different things and whatever. I ended up doing things later on, but I was like, oh, college, they teach you how to think. That's the idea. They're supposed to teach you how to learn and gather the information to do anything you want.
Right.
That's why most places, aside of, lawyer, doctor, specific, degrees, whatever, they just require a 4-year degree and don't really care what it's in, because the idea was, well, you know how to gather information, you know how to organize it professionally, and you know how to feed it back and present it in a clear, coherent manner.
Right.
And that was the idea of college, at least my understanding.
Right.
It doesn't do that anymore. Kids who come out of college are not able to do those things. And I find that unbelievable. Now, I'm sure, there's people who will tell you, oh, no, I just got a degree and I'm very good at those things and I learned those skills in school. But a lot of it is reciting information rather than learning how to do the research.
Right.
I was talking to a college student the other day And, they're doing book reports on books they haven't even read. And I was told that they read it, but I read the same book, and I'm like, well, what'd you think about this? And, like, key plot points.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you were to summarize the whole book in a paragraph, these were the things we're talking about, and no idea. And I'm like, well, how... They listen to an audiobook while they listen to music.
Huh.
And I was like, yeah, that's not really...
That's not the same as reading a book.
And you might tell me you have that, because I got some kind of, I can multitask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it turns out, since you didn't comprehend any of the information...
You can't.
You can't.
You can't multitask.
You thought you had that one down?
Mm-hmm.
But no, not so much. So, that's, I guess, my thought. So, it comes back to, we need to teach our kids to be self-reliant. I was listening to another, interview, and it was, I do my research on these kind of things when we pick a new show topic, and the guy was like, yeah, if you're not taking care of yourself in your 20s, you're not a man. And I kind of agree with that. You're not a man until you can provide. A man should be a provider, a protector, a hero, you should be a badass.
Right.
Right? I mean, that's why we do this. The idea is to, be able to really handle business. A guy should be able to fix a car. But if you're the dad who can't teach your son these things, and if you're not spending the time, and that's, it's another ugly part on society that, both mom and dad seem to have to work nonstop. Everybody works 50, 60 hours a week, at least in the world I live in. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're working nonstop where you don't have the time to spend with your children and to go out. And when you do, you go look at your phone. Right. You go look at the TV or whatever. And nobody really puts in the, time. And like I was going to say, if you don't have the skills like to work on a car, one, tackle some new projects. Watch some YouTube and change your oil. Start with the basics, or do the spark plugs in your car.
Right.
Or, do some basic maintenance. Go out and just change the tire with your kid. Go out and change the tire with your daughter.
Right.
See if she can do it. And get there so they understand the skills. Show them, hey, look, this is a safe place. And, this is where you'd put the jack, or this is where you'd do these things.
Right.
Go out and do these skills. And,
doing it in the driveway is a lot easier than doing it on the side of the road when you have no chance to practice. Doing a test run of those sorts of things, flat tires happen.
And you're going to send your kid out in the world with the car. But that's, I guess what this all comes down to is teaching your kids to handle their own business and teaching them that they're responsible to handle their own business.
Right.
So many people are like, well, somebody else will take care of that. I don't have to do it. I'll just, it'll work out.
They'll
and
figure
that's
it
the
out.
problem is it always does work out. As parents, we're like, oh, I want my kids to have the stuff that, we didn't have. And I can afford to buy them, new video games or whatever. I don't know. But that doesn't mean that that's the right thing to do.
Right.
It really creates a bad precedent. You teach your kids that, spending is whatever. And then they end up working nonstop in order to provide a life that is not the life you should live, that we really want to have.
Right. Yeah, it's tough, with two working parents in a house and a kid, or, one working parent in the house, one parent, period.
Right.
It's tough to raise a child that way. It's tough to raise a boy without a father figure in his life. But, a lot of us men aren't really stepping up and taking care of the business we need to be taken care of. It's not the kid's fault. It's not the mom's fault that she's a single mom all the time.
Right.
No,
and
so as men, it's our obligation, and maybe it's not even just your kids. Maybe it's the family next door that doesn't have a dad around. Maybe you
help
need
out
to...
with the Boy Scout troop or, whatever. Kids need mentoring. Maybe your thing is football or, maybe you can be the soccer coach or whatever. No dads want to make the time to do that. I know a guy I work with, coaches basketball, and they had him doing it 3 years in a row because none of the parents could, we're too busy with work. We can't be involved and, whatever. But it's not right. Now, the next thing is I think kids need reassurance they're on the right path. You're not going to become a warrior, a badass, a self-reliant guy who has the confidence to take care of yourself unless you get some victories. And I feel like we rob the kids of these victories when we, get rid of the, everyone gets a trophy and the nonsense you always hear about. That's a big thing. So, like, throughout history, they've had, rites of passage and different, things like that. It's cool. There's, they'd go out and have their kids, go fight a lion and, some badass things over the years.
Right.
There's some crazy, disturbing things we read on the internet when we were doing a little research. But, I mean, that's not the thing. It's just, you need this sense of accomplishment. When you go out camping and set up your own tent, you got that. You're like, all right, I can do that. When you have your kid build a fire with matches, when you have your kid ride a bike and have success with that, these victories make your kid more confident. Getting your driver's license, learning how to drive, that's a rite of passage. That's a, confidence builder that makes you a little bit more. When you can go run 5 miles, that's a confidence builder. When you go to the gym, when you and your dad go work out all the time, or even if you find it with your friends at school, when you accomplish, I was able to bench press 200 pounds. I'm a man now, I mean, these are the levels that give you, but the same thing, the first job, the first paycheck. And I feel like we're robbing our kids of this, or they're coming so much later in life.
Right.
I mean, I know I was doing the paper boy thing at like 10 years old. And I worked at a pizza place when I was 14 and did, another job when I was 16, and they just kept coming and coming. And no, you don't want to rob your kid of his childhood, but that, all right, you know what? If I want something, I want those cool clothes or the cool sneakers or whatever. I guess kids are all video games now. Whatever. But I can afford it. I don't know. I
met a kid with Yeezys the other day.
With what?
Yeezys. That's
Yeezys.
That's Kanye West sneaker.
Oh. You were a little jealous?
Yeah, I was a little jealous.
Yeah, I see it.
$150 pair of sneakers, and he was out with me walking around in the mud in the woods. So.
In the mud? Sure.
Whatever.
Hey. To each his own, right? But he was a little bit cooler than you, wasn't he?
He was.
Yeah,
he was. His muddy sneakers were cooler than my muddy boots.
Yep. Not surprised. That's the thing. Just because you grow a beard doesn't make you a man.
That's right.
And $150 sneakers, that might do it.
That might.
It might.
Might make you jump higher.
I
but
mean,
I don't think
we used to, man, that's the thing. We did all these things that were dangerous and stupid. You think riding dirt bikes. Like, how many parents let their kids go off, you might have them all armored up and they can, have some kind of adult supervision. But how many parents are like, you know what, go get on that dirt bike and go, knock yourself out. And we're also worried. And that's bad parenting, We were just watching a video and, a kid in school, he's drawing pirates. He's all into pirates. And one of the pictures had the kid cut a pirate's head off. And the teacher was all worried and called the parents saying, oh my God, look at this. Well, guess what? That's what pirates did.
That's right. That's why pirates are cool, man.
It's a bad world we live in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are a lot of kids out there today still doing the thing, playing football, playing hockey, Boy Scouting and hiking, camping. But you know,
4-H, working
me,
the farm,
yeah,
whatever.
To me, it seems like it's not enough. There's not enough of them.
There's definitely not enough of them.
And you know, when we try and teach boys to not be assertive,
Right.
you know, that's you're bringing a boy to down a notch. You know, you're teaching him to deny his basic instincts.
Right.
You know, they're good ones. There's good attributes, characteristics of masculinity, and there's negative ones.
Right.
You know, but when you focus on just the fact of that masculinity in itself is evil, is bad,
Right.
you know, you're teaching these kids that they're wrong just for how they think.
Right.
You know, there's a like you were saying about winning. It's important to learn how to win. It's important to learn how to win, and it's important to learn how to lose too.
That's it. You know, some kids, when they hit their first failure, they're completely devastated.
Right.
And, you know, it wipes them out, and they're bawling and crying, and and the thing is, that's fine when you're 4, when you get your first loss. Mm-hmm. But if you're not getting your first loss until you're 18 or 22, that's the problem when you're on the floor bawling and crying. And that's the thing. They don't know how to handle it because they've never experienced it.
Right.
You
know, sometimes I'll just sucker punch my kid in the face just so he is ready for it.
You got to keep him guessing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really sucker punch my kid in the face. Maybe in the shoulder sometimes.
So I should stop hitting him when I walk by.
Stop beating him.
You were wondering where those bruises were coming from?
Yeah.
Oh.
My kid actually got stabbed in the hand a couple weeks ago. He was trying to disarm his friend who had a knife with a pillow.
Yeah.
Now he knows better. That's not the appropriate tool to disarm somebody with a knife. Yep.
You just shoot him from further back?
Yeah, step back. Or, you know, hit him with a baseball bat instead of a pillow next time.
All right.
Problem solved.
A weapon with a little more reach.
All
right. I don't know. So, that's what I got on that. I don't need to keep beating a dead horse. I feel like you guys, you know, we need to start encouraging our boys to grow up and be men, to be good providers, to take care of stuff. And that doesn't take anything away from women. And that's what I worry. That's the way it's always painted. You know, well, you know, it doesn't. Women can be strong and awesome. They can be Sarah Connor.
Right.
For those of you who are old enough to remember Terminator.
But I think, honestly, we've got a pretty large male audience. You know, we definitely have a few women that listen. But, you know, I'm kind of putting that challenge out to the men that are listening to be men and be male, positive male role models for the boys and for the girls.
And for the women that cower in when they hear these things and say, oh, I don't know. Remember, you're going to live in a better world when your man wants to take care of you and treat you with respect and have manners and be polite.
Right.
You know, somebody who can take care of their significant other. And that doesn't mean that a woman doesn't take care of a man.
Right.
It all, you know, it goes both ways. But that's, you know, that's how it needs to be. And women need to raise their boys to be tough and to handle things. And honestly, women need to raise their girls to be self-reliant, not be dependent on the man.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it can't be a happy world together, you know?
Yeah, it's instinct to defend your child. Obviously, you want to protect your child from any serious injury or anything like that. But you also have to let them get their scraped knees.
Yes.
You know, you have to let them, skin, you know, get a little bit of road rash.
Right.
It happens. You know, those sorts of things are all
sometimes you're the good parent when you look and you see your kid with the big cut or whatever, and you're horrified. But you're like, yeah, walk that off.
Yeah.
You'll be all right.
Walk off both those broken legs.
Yeah, don't worry about it, you know? But that's part of it. That's, you know, you got to toughen them up a little bit. You know, so many cultures, we're reading all these different things. 12 years old, 7 years old, they're having these big rites of passage. You know, not 18 or 21 or, it gets
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people, there's a lot of rites that in American culture that we have, rites of passage, whether it's baptism or high school graduation,
Driver's license.
driver's
those
license,
things, yeah.
these sorts of things, and you need to kind of maybe just spend a little bit of time celebrating these things with your kids when they happen, and make a point that this is a point in their life where they're going from being a child to being an adult, and they have to have that sort of idea. A lot of people are going through life 23, 24 years old and thinking of themselves still as children.
Right.
And maybe they are still children.
That's the problem.
But
Because you don't get that confidence if you don't
mm-hmm.
have some accomplishment.
Right. All right.
That's what I got.
That sounds good.
So, a lot of things going on in the world.
That's right.
Russia's a little crazy. Syria's a little crazy, and
Yeah, now there's a lot of talk that maybe
China's a little crazy.
it wasn't Syria that gassed all those people. I think
It
that's a
was
load of
Putin?
shit, though. I think
Oh,
it.
yeah, it was?
I think it was. I think it was them. We'll find out. They say things like, "Why would you, if you're winning the war, why would you risk something like poisoning, gassing people?" Well,
'Cause what
yeah,
if Putin
we
was
caught him?
like,
We caught him doing it twice. Maybe they're winning the war because they've been doing it a whole lot, and we just only caught it twice. So, it seems like what they do is they drop the gas bombs to get all the people in the basements, and then drop the bombs on top to collapse the building so nobody finds them. But
Smart.
I don't know. We're gonna see what happens. This is gonna play out over the next couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks, couple of days.
Yep. Another news item that I found was
What do you got?
8 police officers in Argentina were dismissed,
Okay.
fired.
What'd they do?
Apparently, a half-pound of marijuana went missing from the
Half pound?
evidence.
Half
Ton.
pallet, half ton.
Half-ton of marijuana went missing from the evidence
right.
locker, and they were positive. All of them, when questioned separately, fully believe that mice ate those. Over the course of 2 days,
I see
mice
it.
ate 1,000 pounds of marijuana.
There's some crazy mice down in Argentina.
The chief of police said that if mice had eaten that much marijuana, there'd be dead mice all over the place down there, and they haven't found any. So,
No.
little suspicious.
All right, that is suspicious.
So, what else we got? Is that it? Oh, we got a couple of emails.
Emails.
Yes.
Yes.
George sent us one, and
What George say?
it was pretty thorough. Pretty thorough.
George?
Never mind the haters.
No.
And Ben sent us one. They both were talking about us doing a podcast on scavenging.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? You think we're gonna have to figure one of these out? I mean, there's a lot of variations with that
we
topic.
did have the
you know?
foraging episode.
We did. That's forest scavenging. Maybe we have to do an urban scavenging.
I felt like we touched on that somewhere.
I thought so too, but I couldn't find one.
No.
So, another one that we've been getting a lot of requests for is beekeeping. Still.
Yes.
So we're gonna have to look into this and see if we can get back to you on at a later date with that. If you guys have any ideas on topics, you can email us at preppingbadass@gmail.com. Let us know your ideas on that.
All right, I got one more for you. So I don't know if any of you guys are on Stitcher. I'm not even sure exactly what Stitcher is. I think it's some kind of app where you play podcasts
That's
and
right.
music, whatever. So if you have a Stitcher account, turns out the Survival and Basic Badass podcast is now available there. Now, I don't care where you listen to the podcast as long as you listen.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could go ahead and leave us a review of what you think of the podcast on Stitcher. Apparently, they require 5 reviews in order to get some kind of notoriety where they put you into a like hot list kind of thing or something
Okay.
along that line. So if some of you guys could leave us a review on Stitcher, that might help us out.
All right.
Help grow the brand a little bit.
Now, if you're listening to the podcast and have been listening to the podcast, you probably aren't on Stitcher because we're just on Stitcher now.
Just now.
But one of the emails I did get was from somebody on Stitcher. Somebody listening on Stitcher. So,
how's that possible?
I don't know.
Is that just now?
That was just now. Just recently.
Whoa.
So
I should change my name to Kickin' Ass, is what you're saying.
that's right, man. It's
so,
moving.
If you're on Stitcher and you're listening, also, if you feel that we should have sent you a patch because you signed up on Patreon, I don't know. I'm still working on it.
All right. Let us know. If you signed up on Patreon and you didn't get a patch.
Work on that. Yeah,
send us an email. Send us hate mail. We'll send you one out.
I think there's one there that I maybe have overlooked so far. So
right.
We'll get back on that. And otherwise, stay safe, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.